Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? It is Saturday, January 9th, 2021. And I got to tell you, it still feels pretty good to say 2021. Yeah, still feels pretty good to say that. Glad we're out of 2020. I do see, I see lots and lots of brighter days ahead. Q1 better than Q4, Q2 better than Q1, all that good stuff. So just so you know, good morning, Nathan. How are you? This hour is live. We are going to go through your questions. Lots going on in real estate, lots going on in the market. I do think if you're a new investor, now is time to do the work. I think you can make a couple of moves this year that really set you up nicely for the next decade or two. I think 2021, if you move right, if you learn your market, if you do the work like I talk about in the course, I think you're going to be able to thread the needle of locking in a good deal as inventory rises. You'll be able to lock in a good deal with fixed rate debt before inflation takes hold. And then you'll have assets as inflation in assets increases and rents increase. I think the moves made in 2021 will feel really good in 3, 5, 7 years. So I want to talk about that first. Know again that this is for you. So if you're watching this first, thank you very much. Subscribe, hit a thumbs up, all that good stuff. But put your questions in the chat. I will do my best to get through them. I have a list of only 5 or 6 today, so that might only take me 15 minutes to go through as others join. But let's have some fun. I really do think 2021 is going to be the year of single-family homes. So first and foremost, that's where I want to start. Why do I think 2021, the year we're in now, is going to be the year of single-family rentals? Well, actually, there's a couple of reasons, and I kind of alluded to them, but I want to tackle it with this question. 2021 is going to be a year of fixed rate 30-year debt, probably at, saying lifetime lows may be a stretch, but certainly lows for the decade, lows for a decade and a half. I don't think for the rest of the decade, we're going to see investors be able to get 30-year fixed rate debt below 3%. That's abnormal. When I started, it was 6.5%, just to give you a flavor. So if you can find a deal, if you do your homework, if you find a good or great deal, you're going to be able to get that debt structure that makes you feel great in 3, 5, 7, 10 years. Because as I've been sharing, I think interest rates start to tick up, right? We've already seen 1/8 of a move, according to Matt, the mortgage guy, last week, I think. So realize rates will rise as these trillions of dollars of stimulus hit. But more importantly, it's not when the trillions hit, in my opinion, it's as those trillions start to circulate, right? As we start to have money chase less and less goods, or more money chase a fixed set of goods, I don't see how that ends well, right? Inflation is going to come. So as I said in our daily financial news, I think there's a very good chance that you as an investor could get, say, a 2.75% fixed rate 30-year debt, that maybe in 3 years we have 2.75% inflation. Think about that, right? Inflation is running at the same rate or more than your debt. That doesn't normally happen. Hey, Jimbo, you're making a bunch of noise. One sec. This little guy's making noise, so I have to go get him. So I don't know how sensitive this mic is. Sorry. So again, as we're saying, I think 2021 is going to be that special year where you can get fixed rate debt that looks really good in the rearview mirror, as the trillions, as we print 5, maybe 10, maybe 12% of GDP next year, or this year, I should say. Ooh, this year. It's Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. So that's one. Second, Wall Street often sends signals, but we have to pay attention. Wall Street doesn't come out and say, here's my playbook, follow it, right? It's quote unquote the smart money. But we have seen over the years that Wall Street has figured out a way, as Warren Buffett always said, if I could figure out a way to buy all the single family homes and run them efficiently, I would. That's a basically a Buffett quote. Well, American Homes, I think it's called, and some other Wall Street firms have done just that. They have figured it out. Now, just like you and I back in March, they raised hundreds of billions of dollars, but the inventory never showed up. So, what are they going to do now? Instead of returning the money, they're going to start building single family homes to rent. That stuff's going to come out new. It's going to come out at a price point. It's just going to pull up other property values. It just has to happen. So, again, I want to own as many single family homes before Wall Street comes in and, it comes in and adds more, because it'll just raise prices. And then lastly, as prices rise, more and more people will be priced out, assuming we do good lending, which again, I think we are today. And I see rents going up in single family homes for most of the country late this year and certainly next year. And again, if your rate structure is fixed, and you can raise rents 10, 12, 15%, maybe 25% over 2, 3, or 4 years. Yeah, that's some good living right there. So that's what I see coming. That's why I think it's good. I think multifamily is in trouble. One of the things I took away from Ken McElroy's video this morning talking about 2021 predictions, you have to pay really close attention. When he talks about multifamily, I believe he said, and if I misheard it, I hope all of you tell me, but I thought I heard him say he's only collecting 80% of normal rents, and then everything else he's working out or delayed. That's not good. Multifamily rentals, not good. It's the K-shaped economy for real, right? If you can get out of a Class A apartment and buy, you are. If you have a white collar job, work from home, all of that. Man, as a multifamily owner collecting 80% of rent, that's painful. That's probably has you dipping into reserves. That's a problem. So again, multifamily is really not the place to be, I think, at least for the next year or so. But watch the debt structure, technical defaults, all of that. I think there will be opportunities, but that's why I'm buying houses. And then, as we did in this book, when Affordability Index tells me to get out, I will get out, and I'll go 1031 into multifamily. So that's that. That's question number one. I wanted to talk about why I think 2021 is the year of single family rentals. Next, I got a question about Vegas, but it was really about Nevada, if you know what I mean. The question was, hey, could Vegas ever change their income tax, right? Today it's zero, state income tax. So I don't really think so the answer is I don't think that's a Vegas question. I think that's a Nevada question. And the answer is I don't think so. I mean, they could. Anything is possible these days. They're certainly not collecting the tax revenue from gaming that they expect. I would expect Nevada, if they were to raise taxes on something, it would not be to institute income tax, because I think that would just turn off some of the positive movements they have. But they might adjust real estate taxes, they might adjust sales tax, they might do something else, because taxes will go up. I just don't know that they tackle income tax. It's kind of that'd be like saying Texas or Florida does the same thing, or Tennessee. I just don't see that happening, but anything is possible. Here's another one that's logically makes sense, but statistically or historically does not tie. The question is basically, does higher interest rates directly correlate to higher or lower prices? Again, higher interest rates, lower prices. And the answer is no. Right? What typically happens, and again, you should go back and look at the charts for your market, because maybe your market is different. But as interest rates tick up, what historically has happened is that is forced new owners off the sidelines, because they want to rush in before rates go higher. So actually, if you look at the history, at least the initial move in interest rates, does not impact prices. In fact, historically speaking, the first move or first several moves in interest rates actually sparks demand because people want to get the lowest rate possible. It's just a interesting logical fact. Because again, right, if you're looking to buy a home and the interest rates tick up, you want to get in before they tick up again. So it makes sense. At some point, interest rates will hit some barrier. I think it's probably, if it's not 4, it's certainly 4.5, and then it will become destructive. It will stop refis. It will stop purchases. But a move from 2.7 to 2.87 to 3 to 3.125 to 3.25, that will probably spark demand, not immediate price drops, at least in my opinion. Again, something I talked about in the daily financial news that just is like a wormhole in my brain, and it hurts. I just got to get it out. That's really what these videos help me with. Is Ken McElroy's talk about debt being an asset and cash being a liability. So the first thing I want to talk about is I want to clarify debt is an asset. I want to say fixed rate 30-year debt is an asset. Variable rate debt, bad, very bad. Debt on an asset, good. Credit card debt, bad, right? These are things that should be obvious, but I just want to clarify. If you can get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on an investment loan below 3.5%, again, as I said earlier, part of the 2021 story is I think you feel like a genius in 3 to 5 years. So that I don't know, it's hard for me to call debt an asset because I'm an accountant and that just breaks my brain. But I understand, right? The debt controls an asset that does sit on the asset side that will inflate, that will rise in value. I get it. And the debt doesn't rise and it's fixed. So I get it. But I can't call debt an asset. That doesn't fit my debts and liabilities brain. But I understand what he's saying. The one that hurts is cash is a liability. And again, cash held for a long time for no other reason to have cash is a liability. I get it. It deflates and it erodes purchasing power. So yes. But I got to tell you, the folks that don't have an emergency fund today don't feel like cash is a liability. Right? So some cash is good. Living, 6 months, 9 months, whatever you think you have. We can't make these overarching statements because I think it looks good in a thumbnail. I think it looks good on a heading, but it's not practical for most people. So I don't like that. I don't like that about, I don't know, entertainers and all of that. But yeah, if you're going to hold, I don't know, pick a number, 100 grand just because it's a round number, and you hold it for 50 years and do nothing with it, yeah, it's going to depreciate. And if 3% is the inflation rate, it turns into 20 grand purchasing power. But that's not what you and I are talking about. You and I are talking about holding cash on the sidelines because we think there are some assets like Ken's multifamily that are overpriced. I think multifamily is overpriced. I think the debt structure will cause problems. If Ken is truly collecting only 80% of rent, that's a problem. Technical default is a real problem. There will be assets that come up cheap, and you'll be able to buy debt cheap. So I just don't like that overarching cash as a liability. Cash held for decades with no use, yes, fair. But again, emergency fund, if you needed cash today to pay your rent, pay your bills, feed your family, you probably don't think cash is a liability. And again, holding cash for what might be a better opportunity in the future, that's not a liability. So again, that's just how I think. Next, how fast can rates go up? I did not experience this, but one of my subscribers made a comment, so I'm going to assume it's accurate because they were a mortgage broker in the 90s. They talked about rates going up 1.5% in a single week in the 90s. I didn't have time to research it. I'm going to assume, I don't know. That's an awful bad assumption, I guess. But I would just say rates can go up very fast. 1.5% in a week, that's really fast. I'm not really sure what would have happened, so I'll go look that up. But they can go up much faster than you would like. Also, let's not forget, in my lifetime, while I was watching the market, Ben Bernanke raised interest rates, I think it was 17 times in 2.5 years. That's a pretty healthy stair step. So rates will go up. Rates will go up faster than you and I want them to. Let's just say that. What else do I got? I think that's all I got. So let's now go and see all your great questions. And I will scroll to the top. Good morning, Nathan. Hey, Dion. Good morning, Nathan. Question. Okay, first question. Can you explain why you sell everything if the affordability index drops to 20 in your market? Absolutely. So first off, Nathan, it's a big part of my book, of our story. In my market, and this is a very California. That's why I said yesterday in that video on the affordability index, you have to learn your market. In California, specifically Fresno, my idea is if I can sell at the peaks and buy at the bottom, you should, right? Some people say, well, hey, if the cash flowing asset, why don't you just hold? Well, if I can catch artificial gain, why not? So, Nathan, for example, let's just play this story out. And you can go look up, Nathan, get a pen or a pencil or something. Write down this address. 1818 Norris, Norris Drive, East 93703. Go look that up on Zillow. And it will show you that I bought the property for 107. I sold for 264. And then ultimately it was resold for 75 grand. And oh, by the way, because that was my asset, it rented for 1,100 that whole time. Rents did not move. So the affordability index, when it got to 264, was like 18. So I sold. I did an exchange. I moved into apartments. I didn't have to, but why would I hold an asset that was going to fall by 60 or 70%? Now, will it fall that fast again? Probably not. But I believe when in Fresno, the affordability index gets to 20, I believe prices are stretched. And I like selling at the peak, and I am comfortable sitting on cash. Again, the beauty of the affordability index, at least for California Association of Realtors, is it's been reported for decades. And you can go watch it, right? When the affordability goes down, prices are high. The affordability turns around, prices sink. So I believe that if I can time the market, and the affordability index is my best indicator, I will sell at the peak. And again, if it gets to 20, I'll start listing my houses, and God forbid it gets below that, I'll sell everything. And I'll just wait. So in the end, the affordability index saved me, because I got to tell you, owning apartments and not owning just that house on Norris Drive felt a lot better than going, oh my God, now it's worth 75 grand. So that's why. History tells me it works. Good morning, Jersey Trucker. How are you? Nathan, I understand the concept of the index, but not why you'd sell. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Basically, the index tells me when we're close to a peak. It doesn't call the peak, right? It can get lower. I think Fresno bottomed at 15. So I sold early. Like that house on Norris Drive I asked you to look up. The person who bought it felt really good for about a year, maybe a year and a half, because I sold it for 264 or whatever it is. It ultimately went all the way to 300. So I sold a little early, but ultimately it hit 300 and then just fell like a rock down to 75. So I'll take that. A lot of that was artificial gain. And I guess the last thing I haven't said yet, this is the real kicker, Nathan. That house today, 13 years later, 14 years later, is only worth like 187 or 191 or something. It's I took $70,000 early, right? Because it's not even back to that number now. So that's why I do it. Jerry, Jimbo upset about he's 10-year. Yep. Yeah, exactly. He's upset about the 10-year going up. Yeah, he's upset. Blake, I plan to watch the date versus place price video. Looks to be really important moving forward. Cool. Hey, Jeffrey, how are you? Yep, debt coverage ratio is very important. Yep. Despero. Mike, let's say affordability index gets down to 20. You 1031 everything, then apartments stay priced for perfection and cap rates low. So my experience is multifamily and single family homes do not run in the same cycle. Because when housing gets really unaffordable, you're essentially pulling supply out of apartments. So again, you can go back and look at this. The cap rate, which is usually the measure for multifamily, and, and the rise in single family, they're not in the same bubble or the same value. Now, it always could change in the future, but historically speaking, they're not. So when housing is hot, typically speaking, multifamily is not. And that's because vacancies are up, rents are down. So they're not really the same. So to answer your second question, let's just say, I don't know, let's make up some numbers. Let's just say I walk away with $500,000 selling some homes. I suspect I will keep about 100 of that. Again, I'm just using ratios because I have a lot of depreciation and all of that where I can hide a lot of that gain. And I would probably 1031 the 400. And again, those are just ratios to tell you that I would probably 1031 exchange most of it, but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to sit on cash. But again, it's really because historically speaking, housing gets hot, which causes multifamily to not be hot because vacancies rise, rents go down, turnovers go up. So that's really what's going on. Yes, Jeffrey, Ultimate Bargains. Buy what is cheap, sell what is expensive, repeat. And that's really said well. And if you learn your market, again, I suspect most markets are like Fresno. When housing is super hot, multifamily is super not. So to use Jeffrey's comment, when housing gets hot, it's expensive and apartments are cheap, relatively speaking. I think that's pretty well said, simply said. Yeah. Okay. If affordability reaches 20 and there's been no pain in multifamily, what do? I sit on cash. I'm okay with cash. Because again, my experience. So let's just say multifamily stays hot forever. Let's just take that off the table. My experience says single family cannot stay that stretched for long. So I sell all my houses, and now instead of 500 grand, I've got $1 million. And again, I'm just making up numbers. I would be comfortable sitting on that $1 million for 2, 3, 4 years, waiting for single family homes to turn around. Historically speaking, the affordability index can stay stretched, but it doesn't stay stretched for long. Because what happens is the business cycle kicks in and then people lose their jobs or they do this or do they do that and they just can't afford it and they have to sell. So I will be licking my chops. What I'm sensing from these 2 or 3 questions is I'm a lot more comfortable sitting on cash than you might be. I think that's what I'm reading between the lines. So again, history says multifamily and single family don't go in the same cycle. But if they did, or if we said multifamily never got cheap, I would sit on cash. I don't want to hold something that could lose 30%. And again, I like dancing through the raindrops. And again, go look up Norris Drive. The affordability index said sell, I sold, and it still got more, it still rose in value another 10%. I sold early. I don't care because not 3 years later, go look it up, it sold for 75. Actually, you know what? Let's see if I can look up Zillow on my phone, just so everybody else can see it. Do I have Zillow on my? I must have Zillow on my phone. I do. One sec. This ought to be fun. I haven't done this in a while. One sec. I'm looking it up right now. 11818 Norris Drive East. Oh, I'm wrong. It's valued at 200 grand now. So look at that. History details. Come on. here we go. So December 10th, 2002. Does that show? Oh, that's a horrible screen. Oh, well, you need to look it up. I thought that would work. So it shows December 10th, 2002 for 107. I sold it on 11/3/2005, not 3 years later, for 264. Then 4 years later, it sold for 75. Yeah. And then it just sold in 2017. So what is that? 8 years later for 153. So it's not even close to my sale of 2005. That's why. That's why. Sorry, I thought the camera would pick that up better. I guess it doesn't. So that's my question, Blake. Dion, pride of ownership rentals. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. I like those. Variable rate bad, personal guarantee bad, ultimate bargains for the win. Yep, Jeffrey, nice job. James, I'm not handy by any means and looking to learn how to become a landlord before I get a property manager, currently one rental. How should I go about finding a handyman for repairs and maintenance? James, I don't know how to tell you this. You're probably going to kiss a lot of frogs to steal a nursery rhyme. Nursery rhyme? Nursery story? I don't know. Kid story. It takes a while. The best thing you could do is ask for referrals, join local meetups in that area. But yeah, you'll probably go through 5 to 10 handymen before you find the one that kind of on quality, on time, reasonably priced. There's no secret answer. You just gotta test a lot. But the best thing is referrals from people you trust. Referral. And then once you get one you like, treat them well. Nathan, got it. That's the validation I was looking for. Awesome. I own the book and know the North Drive story, but your reasons for selling make sense and what I was looking for. Make sure there wasn't something else. Okay, cool. Awesome. Bob Langworthy, Mr. Accountant. If you guys want a good real estate accountant, Mr. Bob Langworthy's been on the channel several times. Check him out. Hoping that Biden doesn't go through with his plan to eliminate the 1031 exchange. Yeah, my guess. So, Bob, anything's possible in this new administration, right? But when you look at the timelines, my suspicion is the next administration is going to focus on the health crisis first, which will take him probably a year or so to get through. He'll focus on infrastructure second. And by then, we are at the 2-year mark. The 2-year mark in any presidency is important because then is when we have the midterm elections. So in 2 years, we will have another chance to have a split government. So I really am, I won't say 0% concerned about losing the 1031. I'm maybe 1% concerned. I just don't see how it happens in a time frame that's interesting. I actually think if it's the 1031 or the stepped up basis, I actually think we could lose the stepped up basis. I think they're going to sell that as a Richie Rich thing. So I do think the stepped up basis is far more at risk. I would put that at 30%. Losing the 1031 exchange, 1%. Stepped up basis, 30. Losing the bonus depreciations, 100. That's going away. And it's actually written that way, but there's no chance that gets extended, in my opinion. And again, folks, if you need a good investor-friendly accountant, check out Bob's interviews on my channel. He's a wonderful, wonderful asset. Bob, why don't you, if you're still listening, list your website. I thought it was like Maine bean counters or something like that. Maine is in the state, Maine. Jeffrey, question. What is your opinion on how tax laws and regulations will change regarding real estate? Oh, look at that. So I don't think the 1031 changes. I do think stepped up basis is most at risk. I think bonus depreciation goes away. Any other taxes that you're thinking about, Jeffrey? You want me to, again, give one guy's opinion on? But those are the ones I'm thinking of. I don't think depreciation goes away, the normal depreciation. I think that's a cost that's well entrenched. Um, I think the SALT tax, state and local tax gets reversed. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I think the SALT tax capped it at $10,000, which really hurt California and New York. I think that gets reversed. I think that comes back. Chris, what about condo co-ops 2021 sublets allowed? I'm not a huge fan at all of condos. I do own, at least as rentals. I think living as your owner occupant, that's your choice. Some markets, that's all you have. That's actually, I live in a condo. My home is a condo. But I don't like them as rentals. I think they have a lot of downside that people don't see. Ideally, the homeowners association could go up without any warning. We saw last time many homeowners associations go bust, and I think that's going to happen again in cities like San Francisco. Where you have 50% of the building refusing to pay the HOA, and then the other 50% get hit with a one-time assessment. Some nasty stuff can happen in condos. So I don't like them as rentals, but I do not have an opinion about if you're going to make it your primary. That's a personal choice, and I have no opinion on that. Oh, how will delinquent property taxes from moratoriums affect real estate market? So a couple of thoughts there. First and foremost, I've had to pay my property taxes twice since this all started. March and December. March and December or April. Yeah, must have been March and December. So property taxes were not, there was no, at least in California, I don't know about other states, but there was no moratorium on taxes. Gavin Newsom was fine telling people not to pay rent, but he wanted his tax money. Love the guy. That's facetious. So again, I think property taxes, generally speaking, will be an opportunity. I mean, if I was like doing wholesaling and mailing, I would mail to delinquent property tax owners because I think each state has different rules. But in California, I think it's like 7 years before the state can foreclose. But I would start collecting delinquent property taxes. I have not heard about any moratorium on property taxes. And oh, by the way, folks, it's expensive. I think it's like 1% a month late penalty or something like that. It's pretty expensive. Cool. Despero's likes what I have to say. That's awesome. Cool. I'm okay with cash, not okay paying taxes. Okay, fair enough. Especially if I owned it for some years and have to pay back the depreciation. Yeah. Depreciation recapture is a real thing. Yep. James, oftentimes property owners want, yep. Handyman, yep. With or without teeth. I don't know what that means. With or without teeth. Mike, I'm not sure what that means. One of the most informed, good, I like it, thank you. Yeah, I am definitely making offers in my market. What I'm telling my students in this channel, I think, is I expect inventory to come back. I believe if you're watching your market every day, like I tell my students, I think March, like middle of March, we're going to steadily see inventory pick up. But you got to be ready for it, and you got to look. So yeah, I'm still making offers. I don't think I made any last week, though. No, I didn't make any last week, but I'm still looking every day. Every day, folks, 20 years. I'm not stopping. I looked this morning already. No, I did make an offer last week. Yeah, I made one offer last week. It was on a lot. I'm trying to buy a lot. But yeah. Yeah. Jeffrey, depreciation also applies to your down. Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah. So Despero, I haven't gotten anything out of the MLS multiple listing service in my market in now a year. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I think I closed a deal January 31st last year. So almost a year. It's just tough. There's no inventory. I've never seen my market with 1 month supply. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop. It means I keep looking. I try harder. Let's see. Dion. So with the house you used in the example that you sold, okay, about the affordability index, when the market turns back around, you would go back to good or great deals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For example, Dion, that house that ultimately traded at 75, I probably would have started looking at it back at 100 because it made sense at 107. Remember? Made sense at 107 when I bought it. It didn't make sense at 260 because the rent was the same. It was a negative. It was an alligator at 260. It was a big ass alligator at 264. But I would have started looking at the house at 100. It's just it foreclosed in an environment where the bank listed it for 75 and sold. I tried to buy it, but was outbid because I didn't pay list price back then. I think I offered 60 grand for it, which I thought would have been a great story, but somebody else paid list price of 75, and I didn't pay list price back then because it was you didn't have to. But yep, co-ops are even worse. Yep, usually they are owner occupied. Yep, yeah, co-ops in California. I don't know of a lot of co-ops. It's a very New York thing. My daughter lives out there. Yeah, I don't. I have no experience with co-ops, so I really shouldn't speak. Oh, yours is April 10th and December 10th? Yeah, maybe it's, yeah, I think that's what it was. Did I say March and December? It's April and December. You're right. Ooh, 12K right now. Ouch. Ouch. That hurts. Desperate question, Mike. I'm an investor in the Central Valley. Okay, that's where I am as well. And haven't raised rents at all in the past 18 months due to the virus. Good for you. So first off, good for you. I have not, so I got to be very careful. So for my tenants that are paying rent, nobody has seen a rent increase since January. So almost a year. I have raised rents technically, so I don't want to mislead you, but only when a property goes vacant. There are people still moving. There are people buying homes, so I'm still having some vacancies. So I am raising rents, but only when a property goes vacant. So I didn't want to mislead you. So I've had some rent increases this year, probably, I don't know, I shouldn't say this year, last year. I think we raised about $2,000 a month, but those were all from vacancies. Like one house went up $200 last year. But again, only when vacant. Question: are you only offering at MLS listed, or will you make unsolicited offers? So the beauty, Jeffrey, there is I have that office called the Hub that has 4 of the offices occupied by wholesalers, and then I have 2 offices occupied by brokers. I am making unsolicited offers all the time. All the time. Why not? It doesn't hurt. Some of them are official offers. Some of them are phone calls. But yeah, I'm all the time. If I made 250 MLS based offers last year, I probably only made 100 off market offers. But that was because those are really focused. But yeah, I make them all the time, as I'm sure you do. What else do we got? I think that's all the questions. I will give it one more second, see if anything else comes in. But in the end, as I kind of started this video, I really do think 2021 could be that special year, right? I talk about getting 4 rental homes a lot. If your goal is only to get 4, I think I would definitely look to do that this year. It's going to be that special combination of getting in before inflation, fixed rate debt. I think it's going to feel really good in 3 to 5 years. So do the work now. Because again, if inventory starts to come in March, you're going to want to be ready. Don't do the work in March because then you're going to be late. All right, what do we got? Besides MLS, are you making CPA attorney? Are you marketing to CPAs and attorneys? Because we are no. Yeah, we've done a couple of things with attorneys, like giving donuts and whatnot to probate attorneys, like delivering donuts. I wouldn't really call that marketing. We've toyed with it, but backed it off in 2020 because, again, a lot of the offices were shut down. So we had just started that in early 2020, and we haven't done it since. I don't think we marketed to any CPAs, but that's a good idea. So yeah, we tried probate attorneys, but stopped because all their offices got closed. Never anything with CPAs, but I like that idea. Jerry, did you pick up the wholesale deal in Fresno you offered? Yeah, I have that. Yep. Yeah, the one at 115, I think you're referring to. Yeah, I have my team rolling off a project next week. So it hasn't closed yet. There's a cloud on title. So it may not actually close, but yeah, I plan to flip it because it's an easy deal. Yeah. Question: what's your opinion on Florida market new construction single family residence? Victor, that's really tough for me, man. I don't know Florida at all. I always I don't like doing that because I don't know the market. I don't know rents. I don't know that. I know Florida, and Florida's a big state, right? Fort Lauderdale is probably different than Miami. That's different than Orlando and Jacksonville and all that. So yeah, I don't make those opinions. I would just tell you, do your work, do your homework, do the work, do the work, do the work. The other thing I got to say is we've got 72 people watching and only 14 thumbs up after I've been talking for 41 minutes. Come on, help me out. Yeah, divorce attorneys, that would be good. Yeah. If I had the dollars to do the deal when yours was tied up, what would have been willing to work on? If I had the dollars to do the deal when yours was tied up, would have been willing. I think what you're asking me, Jerry, do I do partnerships? I haven't had to do a partnership yet, but I'm not opposed to them. I'm not opposed to them. I just haven't. I haven't had to do them yet. But no, I'm not opposed to partnerships. I really do think that could be. I keep saying it. I really do think 2021 is going to be a year of opportunity. So it could be something that is definitely a tool that I do more of this year, right? Because I don't have endless capital. I have a decent pile, but it's not endless. But yeah, I'm open to those things for sure. All right, folks. So I'm just going to call it there. I'm going to give my voice a rest for 18 minutes, and then I will start the private Facebook group for our students in Facebook. All right, everybody. Take care. Have fun. Bye-bye. Say bye, Jimbo. He's snoring. Bye.